Hi, my name is Fallout, and if you either A, learn anything from today's video, or at the very least B, want to give me tribute for willingly going into a Gambit private lobby to acquire footage, then do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm gonna be real with y'all, today's video originally was intended for newer players, but as I put the footage together, I realized that there's probably a fair amount of veteran players who might not know 100% of what we're about to go over. When I'm streaming on Twizitch, it's not uncommon to get the following questions in my chat. Are champions bosses? What is a rank and file enemy? Are all yellow bar enemies the same? And so on and so forth. Really quickly, why don't we go over very clearly what kinds of enemies in PvE fall under what umbrella, and how you can easily tell them apart without even needing to check the color of their health bar, which isn't really the best method anyway. But before we get going, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Ridge Wallets. These things are beautiful, and I'm glad to promote them on my channel because I've actually been using one myself for about the past year. No joke, this right here has been my actual wallet. A lot of guys I know are still lugging around wallets like this. Big, bulky, floppy, and uncomfortable, doesn't sit well in your pocket, and you gotta move it around when you sit down. As I mentioned, over a year of the Ridge wallet, and I'm just never going back. It's light, sleek, and efficient. It doesn't fold or bulge out awkwardly in your pocket. It's got room for all my cards and a clip for bills when I am carrying cash. They've got over 30 colors and styles on their website, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. Sounds like a Destiny shader. They've got 30,000 5-star reviews, one of them being mine, and each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. Yes, you can buy just one wallet and boom, carry and use it for life. The Ridge is so confident you'll like it that they'll let you test drive it for 45 days, and if you don't, you can send it back for a full refund. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/falloutplays and use promo code falloutplays. Link to their site in the video description, and thank you again to Ridge for sponsoring today's video. Alright, back to the content. A lot of newcomers out there are told to break enemies into two buckets, red health bar and yellow health bar. Red health enemies being weaker and yellow being stronger. Now that's not entirely inaccurate, but it can lead to confusion later on when it comes to equip weapon mods. Most other people I notice though break enemies into one of three umbrellas, Boss, Major, and Minor. They do that because of the three traditional weapon mods, Boss Spec, Major Spec, and Minor Spec. While that's definitely better than the color health bar system, there's a different way I learned about way too late in my D2 career, which I'm going to try to stick to from now on. Ditch the Boss, Major, and Minor umbrellas and use these instead, Minor, Major, and Ultra. Why the distinction between Boss and Ultra? Good question, because these major branches actually feature subcategories which new players or even veteran players might not know very well. Take a look at the following diagram that I put together, and please contain your laughter. A graphic designer, I am not. Under the Minor, Major, and Ultra umbrellas, you will notice a few distinct subcategories for enemies, and some of them may be accompanied by a small image. In-game, you can easily find that image because it's going to appear to the left of an enemy's health bar. Don't get too hung up on what symbol is contained within the image. That can change depending on what type of enemy that you're fighting, but the shape of the icon that contains the symbol, that is the main thing to focus on. Back to our cheat sheet. Under the Minor umbrella, rank and file enemies are easily identified by their basic bitch symbol, a totally normal, completely gray square. Rank and file enemies will take more damage from a Minor Spec by about 7.7%. Under the Major umbrella, we start to see a little bit more distinction between the yellow bar enemies, starting with elites. Check out the following footage from an incredibly exciting Gambit private lobby where only true chads go to game. A medium blocker got sent over, and even though from afar it looks like it has the basic gray square icon by the health bar, it's actually the elite icon. Zoom in on that bad boy. It ain't a perfect gray box, it's more like a shield, kinda curved at the bottom. Again, that indicates an elite, a type of enemy that we can see from our cheat sheet falls under the Major umbrella. Elites are affected by both the Major Spec and the Adept Big One's weapon mods, each one doing an extra 7.7%. And we can easily show that in game. I go up and shoot the elite with a scout rifle for 53 damage, and that is with no weapon mods, by the way. Now I go ahead and equip Boss Spec and shoot it. Again, 53 damage. Our chart shows us that's totally normal because elites ain't affected by Boss Spec. Now I slap on a Major Spec and shoot him again. Boom, 7.7% more damage from Major Spec. Now I change to an identical damage output scout scout rifle, except this one has Vorpal weapon. I shoot the phalanx with no mod, and even though I got Vorpal on, we are back to 53 damage. Again, our cheat sheet tells us that is fine because elites are not affected by Vorpal weapon. At the bottom half of the old Major umbrella, we have mini bosses. Ever run a GM Nightfall or a Legendary Lost Sector or any high-ish level PvE content? Barrier, Overload, and Unstoppable enemies, aka champions, are all mini bosses. The only real difference between an elite and a mini boss is that mini boss enemies are vulnerable to Vorpal weapon. That kinda annoys me because the in-game text on Vorpal does read increased damage against bosses, vehicles, and guardians with their super active. Check out the following footage. I load up Devil's Lair and zoom ahead to the first champion. Using a regular scout rifle, I get 1,714 damage with one body shot. Now we go back to orbit, put on Boss Spec, and load back in. Once again, 1,714 damage. The chart confirms that's indeed what it should be because the mini boss ain't affected by a Boss Spec. Now we change it over to Major Spec, load back in, shoot the champion, and boom, 1,847 damage, a little bit more than before. Now we use an identical weapon with Vorpal weapon, load back in, shoot the champion, and bam, 1,971 damage. Isn't it kind of funny that Vorpal weapon directly tells you via the text, hey, Vorpal does more to a boss, leading you to believe that champions are bosses because they take more damage from Vorpal weapon, yet they don't take more from Boss Spec? Again, if you're new, it can get a little bit confusing, but the TLDR on champions is, if you're looking to dish out more damage to them, even though they do take more from Vorpal weapon, they are not bosses. They take extra damage from Major Spec and Adept Big Ones, but not from Boss Spec. Champions aren't the only enemy that fall under that particular sub-branch, by the way. Back to Gambit, my buddy sent over a large blocker, aka a 15 mode blocker, and look at the symbol by the health bar. Exact same outer symbol shape as the champion, a triangle. Large blockers are also mini bosses under the Major umbrella. Like champions, they take extra damage from Vorpal weapon, despite the fact that they are not bosses. Under the Ultra umbrella, we have two categories there, boss and vehicle. Both of them are affected by Boss Spec, Adept Big Ones, and Vorpal weapon. After reviewing my Gambit footage, I kinda had to laugh because I was so far away from the Primeval, and probably because it was cloaked, but the boss icon didn't show. You can trust me though, the Gambit Primeval is a boss. I don't need to go and get closer and show you the icon, nor do I need to go through each number damage clip that I recorded, but unshockingly, it took more from Boss Spec, Adept Big Ones, and from Vorpal weapon. Fun fact, by the way, did you know that Hive Shriekers, those annoying ass emo satanic pinatas that fire out void damage, those enemies are actually programmed in-game as vehicles? Meaning that technically, even though in-game you can potentially find a red health bar Shrieker, because it falls under our cheat sheet document as a vehicle, it'll still take more damage from Vorpal weapon? It's true. Here's me in a random lost sector on the moon. A Hive Shrieker opens up and I tag it for 4,792 damage per shot. Changing over to my identical power level scout rifle with the same level of impact and Vorpal weapon, then shoot the Hive Shrieker, bam, 5,511 damage. An exact bump of 15% because Shriekers are technically coded as vehicles and therefore weak to Vorpal weapon, even though they are red health bar enemies. Quick anecdote, I've often heard people mention that Gorgons in the Vault of Glass raid are actually also coded as vehicles, and the reason that people use Wardcliff Coil is to liquefy them because Wardcliff does more to vehicles or something. As far as I know, that is not true. A quick look at the Gorgon health bar icon shows that they're elites, and in another rabbit hole that we hopefully won't have to completely go down, the Wardcliff Coil does not get hit with an incoming damage reduction penalty against elite enemies. Check the following chart, which highlights how some weapons in D2 actually get penalized with damage reduction against certain types of enemies. For example, Wardcliff does 80% less damage to boss enemies, but has no damage penalty to elites. So the truth is, Wardcliff don't get no secret damage buff to a vehicle, and Gorgons are not vehicles. Gorgons are elites, as defined by their health bar icon, and the Wardcliff Coil is a regular-ass power weapon that doesn't get its damage effed with because Gorgons are not a boss. By the way, the very clean, way more professional-looking graphic that you're looking at right now is from my good friend Court, who you should also go follow on Twitter. He also has a much more detailed graphic covering the minor, major, and ultra umbrellas with a few extra notes on perks like redirection and 1-2 punch, and I thank him for talking with me in preparation for today's video. I know my cheat sheet is much more basic, but either way, I hope you maybe have a little bit better of an understanding of PvE enemy types and who is affected by what. I also hope it explains exactly why Adept Big Ones is such a valuable high-tier weapon mod. It doesn't give more damage output than a boss or Major Spec like some people think it does. It's valuable because it's a one-size fits all. Every enemy under the Ultra and Major umbrellas is vulnerable to Adept big ones. It just takes the guesswork out if you don't know the difference between a boss and a mini-boss or an elite or whatever. And there you go. Hope that was quasi-enlightening. Feel free to screen cap my dumb little cheat sheet, and again, go follow Court on Twitter. You should also feel free to like today's video and click that big ol' subscribe button if you haven't already. Extra large shout out to my patrons of the month, especially the following high-tier ballers. Appreciate each and every one of those names right there. Still shocked, by the way, that nobody has gone for the lemon bar tier yet. I mean, man, try to give people a good product at a fair value, and what do you get? Anyway, I will catch you on the stream channel, and quick note that if you didn't know, I am the Bungie bounty today, Monday, November 8th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, meaning that you can get a special emblem if you match up with or against me in PvP. Check the Twitch channel for more info. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.